Not sure why I saved Scraper for last, but Bob and Carol Scraper. Again, Carol's a good one in this go. Scrape's pretty questionable. But I met Bob, I think probably in '75 when I first went to work for Gulf Oil, and we weren't all that close at the time. We were talking about that just because we didn't work together. But they got transferred to Chicago at the same time we did. And it was a little different Gulf Oil operation at that time. It was all unbranded, nothing was Gulf up there, it was under another name. There was a bunch of old jobber operations that Gulf had picked up, and it's just a different business. I mean, it was, those stations were the precursor to the convenience stores of today. These guys had gasoline, and they didn't make any margins hardly, so they had to sell other things. So they sold milk and potatoes in bulk. Okay? I remember this one service station, 1 month, sold 31,000 gallons of gasoline and 32,000 gallons of milk. So it was a little bit different. But anyhow, those 2 years in Chicago were the 2 worst on record still. And that was back in 77, 78.
As far as snow is concerned.
As far as snow is concerned, yeah. We got 87 inches first year, 90 the next. These guys left after the first year.
We were smart.
We were smart. We were stuck. But Bob and I were sports nuts, and you know, when we weren't working, we just enjoyed beating each other's brains out on the racquetball court, basketball court, wherever it was. And I remember this one Friday night he called, and we had this horrible blizzard. I mean, it was just awful. And he called and he said, "Hey, we got to play tomorrow?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And he said, "All right, I'll pick you up." So Bob came over on Saturday morning, and when the weather was like that, we usually play racquetball. It was indoors and warm. So he comes by and picks me up, and at the time, Bob owned the ugliest car I've ever seen. I think it was a Datsun Bumblebee. Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
I hate to use the term diarrhea on a car like this. But the car was mustard, sweet potato, mishmash, and it was kind of humped over like a bumblebee. It was ugly, but Bob was proud of it, so I wrote it. So he picked me up, and we went down to what we were talking about. Went down to what was normally a 4-lane road. It was a racket club. But because of the snow, it's down to 1 lane, and there's just walls of snow on both sides. So we take off down this 1-lane road, and later on we realized those are semi-trucks over on the side. They're just totally covered. Couldn't hardly see them. So we're going along this little 1-lane road, and all of a sudden we hit snow. He looks at me, and I look at him. He says, "This bump going to go through anything." As I remember, the snowbank is probably this height. It's probably like this. But it was big enough to be a challenge, so as much as you can gun a bumblebee, he puts it here, and off we go. Well, we wind up on the top of the snowbank. If we lean forward, Carly, lean back. We're dressed in our warm-ups, lightweight. I don't think we had any gloves or didn't have any tools. So. We got one thing you can do, you start digging the car out, you know. So we got all this snow out there, and fortunately, the car didn't fall on either one of us, which was kind of a miracle. Well, it might have been good for the car. But anyway, we got out, we finally went on, we got to the racket club, but nobody's there. Employees couldn't get there, the members couldn't get there, it's all locked up, the lights are off. So we turned around and headed back home. But, you know, those are kind of lengthy stories, but those are the kind of things that build friendships.
Digging snow in your bare hands.
Absolutely.
And we've had some great friendships with these guys over the years.
They came back to Houston when we came the
Yeah.
next year. Yeah.